groovy.
Welcome, horror hounds, to Watery Grave Week. Last week I posted these titles, of which you selected the 1980 classic, Death Ship. Take a moment, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button below to join the growing population of horror hounds on this channel, and so you don't miss out on all the laughs. Death Ship was filmed on a budget of 4.5 million Canadian dollars and released in 250 theaters including Wisconsin, Texas, and Florida on March 7th of 1980. Such a random-ass assortment of states to release a movie in, right? We'll probably see why in a minute. The film stars the late George Kennedy, who is famous for his role in Cool Hand Luke. And let's not forget those Naked Gun films, right? Some of my favorites. It also stars Nick Mancuso, famous for his role in the Under Siege films with Steven Seagal. You know, before Steven Seagal looked like this. Anyways, the film was shot in the Gulf of Mexico, near Alabama, and Quebec, Canada, two locations very far apart. Canadian-born two-time Emmy Award-winning director Alvin Rakoff had directed well over 100 television, film, and stage productions in his lifetime, including this film, which was his only horror film to date. His early days as a journalist helped him work his way to a degree from the University of Toronto. In 1952, he went to work for the BBC in London, and has lived there ever since. Okay, horror hounds, it's time to take a look at this film in a very fast breakdown. Stay tuned afterwards for more fun facts on the film and next week's poll. Let's set sail! A random-ass ship gives its horn a blow, and we have our title card here, horror hounds. It's a German ship, indicated by the language printed on the engine order telegraph. We see some engine room zooming shots, just in case the ocean isn't already making you sick enough. A clear indicator some shit is about to happen with that ship. We see shaky cam footage of a cruise ship. Now I'm seasick. The captain of that cruise ship doesn't look happy at all, and we find out why.
You're off course by 2 degrees.
Yes, sir.
Well, tell us how you really feel, Captain.
Damn the passengers.
Bastard. Thank God it's his last trip.
On the lower deck, one of the crew members dressed in a shitty Planet of the Apes costume scares a little boy half to death. I guess many days at sea can do this to a person. This party is jumping, if you know what I mean. The captain looks absolutely thrilled once again. He despises his job as a captain on this cruise liner. Two kids head back to their cabin, while the German ship you can barely see here with piss-poor lighting quickly approaches at full speed. Oh yeah, I failed to mention that German ship is being operated by Ghost or some shit, but I'm sure based on the title of this movie alone, you probably already guessed that. More gratuitous engine pumping. Looks like they've finished pumping. I stand corrected. The captain sees that big-ass German ship approaching. But it's too damn late. Seconds later, only a few survive on a makeshift raft. Hey, at least more than one could fit on this raft, am I right? Then things get creepy. I guess it was just the captain taking a swim. The group drifts up to the German ship. They signal the ship for help, but little do they know it's vacant, except for the ghost driving the damn thing. The survivors paddle that box over to a gangwalk leading onto the ship, where one of the crew takes a look around. I think he's being watched.
There's no one here!
The rest climb aboard. The little boy can't hold his bladder any longer and decides to take a piss on the deck of the boat.
You should wait till we find the washroom.
This ship is covered in rust. I don't think it really matters. Two crewmen try lugging that lazy-ass Capitan up the gangwalk, but fell miserably. With the gangwalk sinking to the floor of the ocean now, one of the survivors springs into action. The ship doesn't like this one bit, and shits a disgusting concoction all over the captain and his crewmates. Luckily, they make it on board anyways, covered in gray water. I'm not sure if that's shit, oil, or what. The ship snags its first victim, dangles him over the port side of the ship, then delicately dips him in the water. He then gets hoisted all the way back up, the ship pulls its anchor, then drops his ass. There we go, much better. He can't climb back up now, so he drowns. We get more arbitrary engine pumping zooming shots, and the ship sets its own course. This segment is brought to you by Gorton's Fish Sticks. I said fish sticks. Your mind is in the gutter, folks. One of the crewmates is completely flabbergasted at how this ship can set its own course, yet they couldn't even dodge a ship with their own. All that water, and they had to run right into it. Sad. The director flips the camera over for an upside-down shot. Not sure why, really. Everyone left the captain's ass passed out on the deck of the ship. The captain is awakened by German voices. Ouch! While Nick, the captain's first mate, takes a nap, we see what else is going on this crazy ship. The group checks out a cabin and finds a sign written in German. The group then splits up where the mother and her kids find the galley and some nasty-ass moldy bread. Lori finds a record player playing on its own. Big surprise here. And some clothes for everyone to wear. While everyone is getting dressed in their German sailor attire, a phone rings. Marshall picks it up and nobody answers. Again, no big surprise. The captain is again hearing German voices in his head and visualizes the German captain of the ship that they're on now. The crazy ship locks the survivors in the cabin. You ain't going nowhere. Nick awakens from his little nap and opens the cabin door. Funny, Marshall couldn't open it from the inside, but along comes knocked out Nick and he slides it open with ease. Nick and Marshall head to the chart room and find the charted course for this ship is to just make large circles in the Atlantic Ocean. Strange. They check out the radio equipment. A projector starts playing. The survivors hear it. Meanwhile, Nick and Marshall check out the engine room and realize although the ship's engines are still running, the fuel gauges read 0. They have a real Scooby-Doo mystery on their hands here, horror hounds. When the survivors find the projector, they plop down to watch the film playing, which is actually the 1936 film Everything is Rhythm. Topside, Nick and Marshall decide to use the lifeboat to evacuate the ship. The film gets cut short, and the little girl screams. What the hell's her problem? Oh, I see. This older woman's face. Yikes! Yeah, she ate some haunted ship candy earlier. That could have done it.
Don't touch her, Mommy. She's poisonous.
I'd have to agree at this point. The captain wakes up to a nightmare and chokes the old lady, but he thinks he's choking a sailor instead. Marshall finds the old lady dead.
At least she won't be in pain anymore.
And the survivors give her a burial at sea, where the now German-possessed captain reads a few words at her funeral. From a German Bible, no less. See what I mean by German-possessed? She takes the Nestea plunge.
Taste the taste of wetness. Take the Nestea plunge.
During the funeral, the lifeboats launch themselves. With the lifeboats drifting away, the survivors are fucked. The captain has now gone full German and tells Marshall he's now the captain of this ship. Marshall thinks he's completely fucking nuts. The mom puts her son to bed to get some sleep. You know, on a creepy ship ran by ghosts and a nutjob Nazi-possessed captain. Sweet dreams. The Nazi captain has no issues sleeping with his own nightmares. Nick and his lady wrap up a love-making session, which always warrants a shower afterwards. While she showers, the kids go exploring. The shower runs red with blood. Turns out the captain's last nightmare was actually a premonition. Nick uses a board he found to try to break the glass on the shower. What the hell is this shower made of? She's stuck there. The kids find that creepy captain. Their dad, Marshall, shows up just in time. And the captain vanishes. Nick gets Marshall's help with Lori, who's stuck in the bloodbath, but she's already gone. And not a trace of blood, I might add. Captain Crazy has Bloody Lori, where he gives her a less dramatic sea burial. No! Nick and Marshall find the captain's quarters, complete with Nazi memorabilia. Surprise here. Next door in the sick bay, Marshall finds a tray filled with gold teeth. Next we see corpses. One's in a barrel, and another one's on a rack above a water tank. I would say that this is probably the ship's torture chamber. Nick goes crazy and rips the screen in the projection room. Wait, didn't he just rip that already? Marshall starts losing his shit over the Nazi stuff. Nick then jumps from the projection room right into the cargo hold full of water, which is really a large net full of rotting corpses. Captain Crazy closes the net on him, then tells Marshall the ship needs his family's blood to survive. Marshall has had enough of Captain Crazy's shit and stabs him with a butter knife. The captain's death brings the ship's engine to a halt. As their ship sits dead still in the ocean, we find out where the original crew of the ship was hanging out. Literally. As Marshall swipes a life jacket from one of the corpsicles, the engine starts back up. So does Captain Crazy. Marshall drops the anchor. Captain Crazy is on deck with a rifle now, where he takes a few shots at Marshall's family. Marshall sneaks up behind the captain, but fails. Ouch! The family drops a life raft into the water that they found. The kids jump in. The kids are safe on the life raft for now. Mom sees her husband Marshall. They both jump ship and head for the raft. Captain Crazy no longer has control over the ship, so he gets pissed and starts shooting the steering wheel. Like that's gonna help. While shooting up the ship, Captain Crazy falls into a large gear, where he loses an arm. The death ship sails away while the family paddles in the opposite direction. A U.S. Coast Guard helicopter flies by just in time to see the family frantically waving as the death ship sets its sights on another cruise ship nearby. The end. The ship used in the film was a deserted World War II German auxiliary ship or merchant ship, very similar to this. Scenes where the ship appeared to be moving were faked by filming from a smaller boat as it circled around the anchored ship. The wreck of the luxury cruise ship left 9 survivors, whereas the poster artwork depicts only 7. Probably just an oversight by the artist, I'm sure. As the death ship collided with the cruise ship at the beginning of the film, the scenes of a grand piano falling and the flooded engine room below were actually from the 1960 film The Last Voyage. And speaking of reused material, in the scene where the crew first discovers the death ship approaching, we can briefly see the radar screen here. This was actually an inverted image of Skull Island that was used in the 1976 film King Kong. The German television version of this film was cut by several minutes that removed many of the violent scenes, including corpses and any Nazi content, such as the scenes in the captain's quarters seen here. Germany did not want to remind its people of the atrocities that occurred during World War II. I can't very well blame them. This is a good ghost flick, Horror Hounds. It has the creepy atmosphere any good 80s horror film would have with the elements of suspense, dread, and the unknown. Given the film has very little gore, it carries well in the horror genre, and it's no wonder it's a cult classic today. I would have really liked to have seen the story augmented a bit more, telling us exactly what happened on the ship, perhaps even some more insight on why the derelict ship remains in the ocean. A backstory more or less on the Nazi captain that originally ran the ship. Why were the crew members hanging in the freezer? Who were those prisoners found in the torture room? The film leaves much to the mind of the viewer after watching. I'm giving this film a solid 3 skulls. Is it the best watery grave horror film out there? No. Is it the best horror story ever written? Absolutely not. But it's still worth a watch. Next week will be Psychotic Pet Week here on the channel, so make sure you have a firm grip on that leash so things don't get out of control. Thanks for joining me in this episode, Horror Hounds. Until next time.
Use this junk to send out a signal.